When I think about my childhood, what I remember most clearly is the basements. This is where the kids always ended up. Down there, we had our own kingdom. We knew when we'd gone too far without anyone having to tell us, and we knew who was in charge. And these were not kids' play areas. No, these were damp, dark, smelly spaces filled with boxes, supplies, and our parents' second-hand washers and dryers. There was spiders and wetness, and most importantly, milk crates. Every immigrant basement seemed to have the milk crates, and these doubled as shoe racks and bookshelves, side tables, end tables, cars and trains if you were a kid, or maybe even the timeout box. There was one basement in one of those early houses that we ended up one day after dinner so our parents could have that coveted peace and quiet that they were always on about. And this was the year that changed everything. Because my cousins and I, we were collectively tormented. You see, there was this beast. His name was Kombo. And every time we asked a question or had an opinion or whined or basically acted like bratty children, our parents would tell us the Kombo was coming for us. One day, I remember it so clearly, I actually saw Kombo in the flesh. I was about 2 years old and fussing because I didn't want to get out of the bath. Suddenly, the lights went out, and the Kombo appeared, a mammoth beast covered in gray fur, with a voice from my deepest nightmare. Each one of us cousins had been horrified or terrorized by this monster, and we had enough. So in this basement, on this night, we made a plan. We decided it was time to fight back, because in our houses, in our homes as children, we had very little power. But here, amongst the milk crates and the mildew, we were the princes and the kings. We were the dragon slayers. We must have been making too much noise because once again, we heard the heavy boom, boom, boom of the Kombo as he descended into our basement. But this time, we were ready. The girls put on their sweetest voices and their biggest smiles. "Oh, Kombo," we called, "over here." The Kombo turned and looked, and in that moment, the boys took the milk crates and beat the Kombo down. Victory! We heard a voice, vaguely familiar, crying out, but we ignored it, and we continued to stamp up and down on that grungy gray towel, singing, "We killed the Kombo, we killed the Kombo." And then from the corner of my eye, I remember seeing my aunt limping up the stairs, shaking her head and laughing quietly to herself. The Kombo never came for us again. Especially not when we were together, and especially not when we were in the basement. Today, we're going to ask 3 questions. First, what is the basement? Second, who is your Kombo? And finally, what can you do to become a Kombo killer? What is the basement, that deep, hidden part inside of you? Who is your Kombo, that demon that lurks at the edges, making a lot of noise? And finally, what does it take to defeat that monster once and for all? So let's begin with what is the basement. Iyanla Vanzant, in her book In the Meantime, talks about the basement as a place inside that's hidden, that we go to start the journey of exploration. And because it's hidden, and because there are scary things down there, it's not an easy place to begin. Personal development coaches and self-help gurus talk about going into the basement to getting to know yourself better, to just figuring out who you are. But I think I have a different relationship to my basement, maybe because of all the time I spent down there physically as a kid. I believe the basement can be a fascinating place, filled with treasures and treats. A place where there are milk crates that can turn into 100 interesting things. The strategic headquarters of the Kombo killer. And I'm not the only one who thinks so. Carl Jung was one of the first thinkers in psychology who said the myths and the metaphors and the nightmares that we have are worth exploring. But many people who come for psychotherapy are terrified of their basement. They think of it as this Pandora's box. They don't really want to necessarily remember what they've locked away down there. Once, I remember it so clearly, I saw Satan in the basement. Well, actually, I didn't see him, I heard him. I heard Satan in the basement. We were upstairs, and we heard him, and I wasn't sure if I actually believed in Satan, but I was just getting into horror movies, and I had learned some Christian protection spells to ward him off. The cross, in particular, seemed really useful. So my cousins and I, with our fingers in a cross formation, slowly descended the stairs. Who would have thought that my stepfather's snoring could sound so evil? So many of us are afraid we're going to find Satan in our basement, not just some old guy snoring. And so, what lives in the basement is old. It was put there at a time when your mind was very young. Your imagination was very vivid. What lives in the basement are the fairies and the monsters of a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, a first grader. And so now you know what the basement is, but let's be honest, you already kind of knew that. Let's move to the next question, which is, who is your Kombo? The word Kombo comes from our parents, who were of East Indian, or Indian subcontinent is where they started, moved to East Africa for a stint on their way to the West. The word evokes something exotic, something much more powerful than anything fed on meat and potatoes. Kombo ate children's eyeballs. It drank their tears. It made clothing out of their bad dreams and their hair. But you see, I made all that up. No one ever told me that. Once I had my monster, I gave him all sorts of powers. And the same is true for you. You have a Kombo, or maybe several. Is your Kombo the fear that your kids might grow up and tell you that you failed them? Is your Kombo that you have lattes with friends while someone else cleans your house and you're afraid your mother-in-law might find out about that? Is your Kombo that you stay busy day and night working because you're kind of worried that your marriage is going a little stale? Is your Kombo that you're a mental health professional who can't help her own brother who lives with serious addiction and is homeless? Is your Kombo that despite the success and the mask that you wear, inside you just feel like a scared little kid? Is your Kombo that no matter how much good you do, how much you give, how much you achieve, sometimes you just feel empty inside? Is your Kombo one incredibly intricate beast made up of all these elements just waiting for you to let your guard down so he can throw you into the depths of despair and depression once again? Oh, wait. That's my Kombo, out in the open now. But who is your Kombo? And more importantly, how will you defeat him? So let's move now to our third question, which is, what does it take to become a Kombo killer? In the movie Dragon, a Bruce Lee story, the character, Bruce Lee, has to face his demon. And he has to use every ounce of training that he has. How have you been training? Are you ready? Do you even know what your monster looks like? In our Kombo story, we knew our Kombo's size, we knew his shape. We also knew he was easily distractible and couldn't see very well. But see, I'm convinced that there's only two ingredients to defeat any size or shape of Kombo, and these are courage and connection. Let's start with courage. If we don't want to see who's down there, if we don't know what he looks like, there's no way. Courage. We have to have the courage to admit that, yeah, we have some darkness inside of us, and yeah, we're not sure exactly what to do with that. Or maybe you'd rather not. Maybe you'd rather not know what's down there, like many people. Maybe you'd rather live up here on the first and the second floors of your life and pretend that that smell from the basement doesn't bother you. The problem with that is that whatever is down there starts to stink up your whole life. Whatever is down there starts to fester. When you don't visit your inner space, things come out sideways. Courage and connection. Courage and connection are actually the signal in all of the noise that the Kombo generates inside of you. Courage and connection. And I'm talking about the highest order of courage. The word courage comes from the Latin cor, which means heart. And so the courage I speak of is feeling your feelings, leading with your heart, being willing to see the fear, step into the fear, step through the fear to whatever is beyond fear itself. The courage to face the regret of so many years gone by that you haven't done anything about it. The courage to admit to yourself that maybe you've been wrong about the one thing that you knew more than anybody else, which is yourself. Maybe you're wrong about yourself. And then connection. We can't do this alone. I mean, we can try, but we're going to end up really, really miserable. One of the first things that a good psychotherapist does with his or her client is make sure that they have a really powerful circle of support around them. Connection. If you're going in to that deep, hidden unknown, take someone with you. Don't try to do that alone. Take a friend, take a cousin, take a mom, take someone. And sure, for those deep, difficult, nasty Kombos, a professional trained in the secrets of the basement and how to become a Kombo killer would be useful. Just don't try to do this alone. But why should you? Why should you? It seems like a lot of work, all this identifying and facing and defeating. Why should you? Here's the thing. What you don't heal, you pass on. What you don't heal, you pass on. Children who have been abused often grow up to become either victims of abuse or abusers themselves. Childhood trauma gets passed on to the next generation, in most cases. Addiction and violence gets passed on in families. And it might not be you in this room that suffers, but you probably know someone who does. We have people here today sitting with the ghosts of their parents and their grandparents, the monsters that they've inherited on their shoulders. And if we can't face our inner space, how in heaven's name are we going to be able to tackle all the horrors out here in the real world? What you don't heal, you pass on. Today we've asked 3 questions. First, what is the basement? Second, who is your Kombo? And finally, what can you do to become a Kombo killer? Now, when we sit around in family gatherings, we laugh about that Kombo story. And my aunt, the one made to terrorize all of us, vows it was not her idea. She has nothing to do with it. I told her I was telling the story. She said, make sure they know it wasn't me. As a family, we faced many, many, many Kombos, from death to divorce to drugs. But because we keep coming back to each other, because we stay connected with courage, there is no Kombo that can defeat us. So my challenge to you today is simply this. Could you become a Kombo killer too?